Hello, students. I hope you are all fine and in good health. I am revising the first chapter from Snapshots. The name of the chapter is The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse. It is written by William Saroyan. So, dear students, let's start. One day back there in the good old days, when I was 9 and the world was full of every imaginable kind of magnificence, and life was still a delightful and mysterious dream, my cousin Morad, who was considered crazy by everybody who knew him except me, came to my house at 4 in the morning and woke me up tapping on the window of my room. Now, actually, this story is related with two poor Armenian boys by the name of Aram and Morad. Aram is 9 years old, the narrator of the story. Morad is considered to be the crazy boy, or rather to say, the crazy person of their tribe. And Morad came at around 4 o'clock in the morning with a beautiful white horse. And he went on tapping on the door of Aram. Aram, he said. I jumped out of bed and looked out of the window. I couldn't believe what I saw because Morad was sitting on a beautiful white horse. It was one of the wildest dreams of the narrator to ride on a horse. But since they were a poverty stricken tribe, very poor, it was next to impossible for them either to purchase a horse or to ride a horse. So, at first, when he opened the window of his house and when he saw Morad riding on a beautiful white horse, it was like a dream to him. But later, it turned out to be a reality. I couldn't believe what I saw. It wasn't morning yet, but it was summer, and with daybreak, not many minutes round the corner of the world, it was light enough for me to know I wasn't dreaming. It was 4 o'clock in the morning, and there was plenty of light, and he realized that he wasn't dreaming. It was in reality. Morad was sitting on a beautiful white horse, and Morad came to his house to call him up so that they both can enjoy early horse ride together. My cousin Morad was sitting on a beautiful white horse. I stuck my head out of the window and rubbed my eyes. Yes, he said in Armenian dialect, in Armenian language, because Garaglanian tribe is the tribe to which they belong to, is a part of the Armenian tribe. It is a horse. You are not dreaming. Make it quick if you want to ride. So Morad, without saying anything further, told the narrator that if he wanted to have a ride on a horse, on that beautiful white horse, he shouldn't waste any more time. He should come out quickly out of his house so that he can have a ride with Morad. So, dear students, I am now moving on to the next page. I knew my cousin Morad enjoyed being alive more than anybody else who had ever fallen into the world by mistake. But this was more than even I could believe. Now, Morad is considered to be a crazy boy in the tribe, and he was a boy, or mainly his character is like that. He wanted to enjoy the moment, he wanted to relive the moment. Now, this particular surprise is too much to handle because the author, himself being a horse lover and wanted to ride a horse, now it was completely unbelievable for him at the very beginning to realize that Morad came with a beautiful white horse. It was very hard for him to believe. He couldn't believe it initially. He thought it was a dream, but there was a bit of light in the early part of the day to make him realize that he wasn't dreaming at all. In the first place, my earliest memories had been memories of horses, and my first longings had been longings to ride. Longings means desire. It was his lifelong desire that he wanted to ride a horse. Not only his own desire, but it was the desire of Morad also. This was the wonderful part. Riding on the horse, it was a lifelong desire. It was a dream that came true. Now, in the second place, we were poor. I already told you, dear students, and you know it by this time, that Garaglanian tribe to which Aram and Morad they both belong to is actually a poverty-stricken tribe, and survival for them is very very tough because they are a wandering tribe and they are like vagabonds. So, where the crop productivity is good, where the land productivity is good, where they can find a bit of farming, they used to move from one place to another. And that is the reason they are never settled in a particular place. And they were very much poor. And because they were poor, it is very much difficult for them to afford a horse. We were poor. We had no money. Our tribe was poverty stricken. Every branch of the Garaglanian family was living in the most amazing and comical poverty in the world. Everyone, each and every one of our tribe member, we are living in poverty. Survival is the most important challenge for them, for each and every one of them. And in that case, riding a horse, purchasing a horse is completely out of question. It is something next to impossible. Now, that dream came true when Morad came riding on a beautiful white horse in the wee hours of the morning and came to invite the narrator to have a ride with him together. Nobody could understand where we ever got money enough to keep us with food in our bellies, not even the old men of the family. Most important of all, though we were famous for our honesty, we had been famous for our honesty for something like 11 centuries, even when we had been the wealthiest family in what we like to think was the world. Now it seems that they are richest, not in terms of materialistic possessions, not in terms of money, but in terms of truthfulness and honesty. Truthfulness and honesty are the two hallmarks of their tribe. We were proud first, honest next, and after that, we believe in right and wrong. None of us would take advantage of anybody in the world, let alone steal. Now, we don't take undue advantage of anyone, and stealing is something we consider as a sin. It is a curse. We condemn stealing. But why this particular thought came at the back of his mind, back of the mind of the narrator Adam? Because the entire story is being told from the point of view of Adam, because it is not possible for his tribe, any member of his tribe, to purchase a horse or to have a horse. Now maybe Morad might have stolen it. Now that particular anxiety, that particular fear crop up in his mind. No member of the Garaglanian family could be a thief. I stared first at my cousin and then at the horse. There was a pious stillness and humor in each of them, which on the one hand delighted me and on the other hand frightened me. So Aram was delighted on one hand, and on the other hand he was very much frightened. Why he was delighted? Because it was a great moment for him, a dream come true. He was super excited because he will be riding a horse. So from that perspective he was delighted. And why he was frightened? The reason behind it is that they are a poverty stricken tribe. They can't afford, no one in their tribe can afford to purchase a horse. Neither Aram's family, nor Morad's family, nor any other family of the Garaglanian tribe, they can purchase a horse, because survival and existence is something of a huge challenge to them. They are a poverty stricken tribe, already been told earlier by Aram. So now the fear comes in his mind that probably his dearest cousin brother might have stolen the horse. So that particular thought came to his mind. So at the back of his mind, he is frightened. He is a bit anxious regarding that. So I repeat this line: there was a pious stillness and humor in each of them, which on the one hand delighted me, and on the other hand frightened me. Morad, I said, where did you steal this horse? Now, immediately Aram noticed it that Morad might have stolen the horse. So he directly asked the question to Morad that Morad, from where did you had stolen this horse? Leap out of the window, he said, if you want to ride. Morad tactfully avoided the question and rather promptly told Aram that if he wanted to have a horse ride, he should come out quickly. It was true then, he had stolen the horse. There was no question about it. He had come to invite me to ride or not, as I choose. Now that there is no doubt left in the mind of the narrator, he became totally sure, he became completely sure that Morad actually had stolen the horse. That is the reason he tactfully avoided the question when the narrator Aram asked him from where had he stolen the horse. Instead, he promptly told the narrator that if he wanted a horse ride, he should come out quickly. Well, it seemed to me stealing a horse for a ride was not the same thing as stealing something else such as money. Now he went on defending his brother by saying that stealing the horse for a ride and stealing the horse for money is not the same thing. For all I knew, maybe it wasn't stealing at all. If you are crazy about horses the way my cousin Morad and I were, it wasn't stealing. It wouldn't become stealing until we offered to sell the horse, which of course I knew we would never do. Now, the important thing is that the sole motive of the narrator as well as his brother was to ride the horse. They don't want to sell the horse, never will they do it. So, from that perspective, it is not stealing after all, because after a couple of days, their plan is to return it back to their rightful owner. And so they did. As we know this story, we will get to know about it that they will return the horse to its rightful owner, and the name of the owner of the horse is John Biro, who was a businessman by profession. So, dear students, let me continue. Let me put on some clothes, I said. All right, he said, but hurry. I leaped into my clothes. I jumped down to the porch or the yard or lawn from the window and leaped up onto is a double preposition, dear students, onto the horse behind my cousin Morad. Now it seems that he put on some clothes and then, without wasting any more time, he decided to have a ride along with his cousin Morad. So he went on and he sat along with his cousin Morad and they had a horse ride. That year we lived at the edge of the town on Walnut Avenue. Behind our house was the country, vineyards, orchards, irrigation ditches, and country roads. In less than 3 minutes, we were on Olive Avenue, and then the horse began to trot, went on galloping at a fast pace. The air was new and lovely to breathe. The feel of the horse running was wonderful. My cousin Morad, who was considered one of the craziest member, superlative degree being used, dear students, craziest member of our family, began to sing. I mean, he began to roar. With the morning breeze and with the galloping of the horse at a fast pace, my cousin Morad, that is Aram's cousin Morad, went on singing. Literally speaking, he went on roaring because he was enjoying the moment. And as it was already been said that he was the craziest member of the tribe and he wanted to live for the moment. He always lives for the moment, and he was enjoying the horse ride more than ever. Every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere, and my cousin Morad was considered the natural descendant of the crazy streak in our tribe. Before him was our uncle Khosrow. Now, Morad was considered a crazy boy or a crazy person in their tribe, but apart from Morad, there was one more crazy person. His name was Uncle Khosrow. Dear students, Uncle Khosrow part is very important for your short question, and Uncle Khosrow character sketch is also very important for your broad questions. So let me continue. Uncle Khosrow, a bit of slight description regarding Uncle Khosrow has been given. He was considered an enormous man and a powerful, consisted of a powerful head of black hair and the largest mustache in the San Joaquin Valley. Now, San Joaquin Valley is one of the valleys of California. It is one of the interior valleys of California, to be very precise. It is written in the footnote of your text. A man so furious in temper, so irritable, so impatient that he stopped anyone from talking by roaring. And one of his patent dialogue was, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." He's a very short tempered kind of a person, very irritating. He irritates the others a lot, so impatient, he never ever listens to anyone in particular. He is always very much eager to roar and shout at everyone whenever there is an argument. It seems that he is the one who always wanted to take the upper hand, and every time he used to say a patent dialogue, whatever might be the situation. He used to say, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." That is the reason he is considered to be the crazy person in the tribe, and Morad is also like him. To some extent, Morad's characteristic traits has some similarity with the characteristic trait of Uncle Khosrow. Now, dear students, I am moving on to the next paragraph. The next paragraph is very hilarious. It is related with an incident that happened with Uncle Khosrow. So let me come to that. That was all. No matter what anybody happened to be talking about, once it was his own son Arak running 8 blocks to the barber shop where his father had having his mustache trimmed to tell him their house was on fire. This man Khosrow sat up in the chair and roared, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." The barber said, "But the boy says your house is on fire." So Khosrow roared, "Enough, it is no harm, I say." Now, this is a very hilarious episode, as I told you. Told you all. His house was on fire, and his son came to inform him he was trimming the mustache in the barber shop. Even the barber also told him that he should go to his house immediately because his house was on fire. But it seems that Uncle Khosrow was very casual. In his conversation, he told both of them that it is no harm, pay no attention to it. So as you can understand that this is the height of craziness. His house is on fire. His son desperately came running to inform him he was trimming his mustache. Even his barber also told him that he should go to his house immediately. Instead of that, he went on trimming. He went on arguing also. He went on saying to the barber that it's better you trim my mustache. And then his same patent dialogue, he told, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." So this particular incident shows, it's a hilarious episode, and this incident shows that really Uncle Khosrow was very, very crazy. My cousin Morad was considered the natural descendant of this man. Of this man means of Uncle Khosrow, although Morad's father was Zorab, who was practical and nothing else. Morad was not like his father. His father Zorab was very practical minded man, not crazy like that of Uncle Khosrow, but it seems that Morad haven't imbibed the characteristic trait of his father. It seems that he has imbibed to some extent the characteristic trait of Uncle Khosrow, and so his behavior, his manner was very much unlike that of his father Zorab, and it was very much similar in line with that of the crazy person by the name of Uncle Khosrow. That's how it was in our tribe. A man could be the father of his son's flesh, but that did not mean that he was also the father of his spirit. Now, in terms of blood ties or blood relationship, there might be similarity, there might be some connection between the father and the son, but that doesn't mean that in spirit, in nature, in behavior, in manner, and in character, he will imbibe the similar characteristic trait of his father. That may not happen sometime. The distribution of the various kinds of spirit of our tribe had been from the beginning capricious and vagrant. Now, capricious and vagrant means it was a bit unusual, it was a bit strange. Now, many of the people in their community, in their tribe is like this. They are very much strange, they are very much unusual, they are peculiar also. And Morad is similar in his nature, in his behavior with that of Uncle Khosrow. Morad might be the son of Zorab, but Zorab, who was his father, was very practical minded person. Morad haven't imbibed his nature. It seems that his characteristic trait followed that of Uncle Khosrow. So every member, what Aram is trying to say, every member of his tribe is strange, unique, and peculiar in its own way. So, dear students, I stop in this audio presentation. In my next audio presentation, I will be continuing with the final paragraph of page number 3, and then I will proceed to the next page. Till then, please listen to this audio presentation, and if there is any doubt anywhere, let me know about it. Thank you, students. Thank you all.